Hi, we'll discuss about the detailed explanation for app ID, user ID, content ID, integration with troubleshooting, tips for day-to-day operations. Palo Alto Network NGFW deep dive. App ID, user ID, content ID, detailed explanation plus a daily troubleshooting guide. These three engine works together inside the single pass parallel processing SP3 architecture to provide identity based application aware security. App ID, application identification. What App ID really does? App ID identifies the actual application regardless of port, example 443, 80, random iPort protocol, SSL encryption, evasive technique, port hopping tunneling. How App ID works: multi-stage identification, application signature, pattern matching against known apps, layer 7 inspection. Protocol decoders validates protocol behavior, HTTP, SSL, FTP, etc. Detects protocol anomalies, heuristics, and behavioral analysis. Detects unknown apps, flags as unknown TCP or unknown UDP, SSL decryption, if enabled, required for accurate identification of encrypted apps. Application dependencies mapping. Some apps require base apps, example MS Teams, depends on SSL, STUN, stun, etc. App ID policy logic, traffic flow. Session starts, app ID identified as incomplete after enough packets, app classified, policy reevaluated based on a real app ID. This is called app ID policy enforcement after identification. App ID troubleshooting, daily operations. Issue 1. Traffic showing as unknown TCP slash unknown UDP. Common causes: SSL decryption not enabled, custom slash internal application, non-standard protocol, incomplete handshake. Troubleshooting steps: check session browser, monitor sessions, CLI, show session, all filter application, unknown TCP. Verify the SSL decryption policy. Check if traffic is asymmetric. Create custom app ID if internal applications. Issue 2. Application blocked unexpectedly. Check security policy rule order, application dependencies, policy based on service, application default, CLI. In CLI, we need to give the command test security policy match source IP address, destination IP address, protocol 6, destination port 443 to check. Issue 3. App ID changes mid-session. This is normal behavior. It starts as SSL, web browsing, Facebook, not an issue unless session drops. User ID. User identification. What user ID does? Maps IP addresses to the actual users instead of allow 10.1.1.225. You can define allow domain /john.do. User ID. How user ID works? User mapping methods. Agent based on user ID agent on Windows Server monitors AD security logs, event ID 4624, agentless WMI polling, LDAP queries, captive portal, web authentication redirect, global product, direct user mapping, terminal services agent, multi-user IP environments. User ID flow. User logs into domain. Domain controller logs authentication event. User ID agents reads event. Mapping sent to the firewall. Policy enforces user-based rule. User ID troubleshooting, daily operations. Issue 1. User shows as unknown. Check. Under monitor the logs in the traffic user column, we need to check the logs. In CLI, show user IP, user mapping all, common causes, DC connectivity issue, LTAP bind, failure, user logged in before firewall started, log forwarding disabled. Issue 2, wrong user map to IP, common in DHCP reuse, VDI, shared systems, fix, reduced timeout, device, user identification, timeout, clear mapping, clear user cached IP. Issue 3, user ID agent disconnected. Check. Show user ID agent statistics, verify, service running, firewall allowed to query DC, password not expired. Content ID, threat prevention engine. What Content ID does? Provides deep packet inspection for antivirus, anti-spyware, vulnerability protection, URL filtering, file blocking, data filtering, DLP Lite, wildfire integration. How Content ID works? Signature based detection, heuristic analysis, file share hashing, wildfire sandbox submission, DNS sinkhole for malware. Content ID inspection order. Application identified, then it will go to threat prevention profiles applied, then files inspected, after that URL category checked, after that wildfire submission if enabled, allow, alert or block. Content ID troubleshooting on daily operations. Issue 1. Threat profile not blocking malware. Check security policy attached to profile. Profile action set to alert instead of block. Correct the vulnerabilities, security is enabled. CLI show running security policy. Issue 2. False positive blocking. Steps. Check the threat log. Identify the signature ID. Create exceptions in profile. Submit sample to the support. Issue 3. Wildfire not submitting files. Check. Show wildfire status. Verify. License is valid. DNS resolution working. File says under submission limit. Issue 4. URL filtering not working. Check the correct profile attached. SSL decryption is enabled. URL category is set to block. CLI test URL website.com. How all three work together, integrated flow. Example, scenario, user John opens the Dropbox over HTTPS, flow, session created, user ID maps, IP John, SSL decrypted, app ID identifies, Dropbox, content ID scans, file upload, policy checks, application Dropbox, user John, file type allowed, action enforced, logged in with user plus app plus thread details. Day-to-day operational checklist, daily L checks, check system logs, checks threat logs, verify user ID connectivity, check the content update version, verified wildfire status, check IC session count, review unknown application. This is the end of the slide which we discussed today about the content ID, app ID and user ID. Thank you.